let's start with Angie Martinez, man.
Yeah.
How did you know, let's start there, man. And she's incredible, by the way.
The GOAT, absolute GOAT.
She's definitely incredible, by the way, man. I've learned a lot from her too. And just watching her interviews and just from afar, but you got to actually work for her. You feel me? So
for years,
tell me how that came about.
I mean, she's a legend, and I remember back in the day driving around the Bronx with my aunt. My aunt would always be playing Angie. When Angie was on Hot 997, and she came to my college. I went to St. John's in Queens, and she was on her book tour. So she was like, "Look, I'm doing this book tour. They needed people from the college radio station to interview her." And they were like, "Look, Gabe has done the most interviews at the station. He was, I was doing the most artist interviews and whatnot." And then my sis Nyla was also in that same space where me and her just had artists coming in and out, in and out, in and out all day. And they were like, "Yo, like you from New York, like you should interview her." And I'm like, "Yeah." And me and Nyla were like, "Okay, this is perfect, right?" So we interviewed her, and then I had already applied for this internship like 6 times. I got rejected every single time. And Angie just like she did the interview. She's like, "There's something about the two of y'all that I love. So I'm gonna bring you with me." And then I applied for the internship again, and I was at Power from when I was 19 years old till I got hired as a full-time employee, and then on the radar stuff caught on. But it's just beautiful being able to, I'm Puerto Rican, she's Puerto Rican, and just being from New York, being Puerto Rican, and also having someone who is also Puerto Rican and in hip like bringing you up and being a legend in this game, like you can't, like that's game that I couldn't even have paid for real. Like it's really like learning from someone, especially like all my OGs in this game are women, and I feel like not a lot of people can say that, especially not a lot of men can say that. But I feel like they're the ones who really like shaped me to who I am today, So yeah. I love Angie, man. Angie really gave me so much game. It was hard working for her, but like it was like that kind of tough love that I needed to be able to grow like that spine and that hard shell to work in hip hop,
Yeah, that's dope, man. That's dope. That's super dope, man. Just listening to that, that's crazy.
For sure it is.
Yeah, this coming from New York, soaking the game up, you know what I'm saying? Soaking the game up, the hip hop game, and just being in tune with this shit, like that shit is like, that's super dope. And then you said you went over to Breakfast Club too.
Yeah, so I didn't really work with, I wasn't fully under Breakfast Club like that, but I did like, I ran a lot of the social media at Power 105, so I did have to work some of the Breakfast Club stuff. But just naturally being around Envy, Angela Yee, and Charlamagne, like you learn a lot because I would come in early, kind of somewhere early in the morning when the Breakfast Club was still going on.
Right.
And that's kind of how I built my relationship with Charlamagne specifically too. And me and him had like a comic book podcast together for a little while too before the pandemic, before everything shut down, called Comic King. So we'd talk about like nerd shit because me and him would always just talk about like the new Marvel movies, the new DC movies. And we're like, oh, we should just do like a pod because we just sit here for hours talking about this. So I even had a podcast with Charlamagne for a little bit when I was like 23, which is kind of crazy because not a lot of people know that about me too. But that was like a really interesting time in my life because I was just starting on the radar, but then I had this crazy like comic book podcast with Charlamagne at the same time.
No, that's dope. I want you to hold that thought. I want you to hold that thought before I fix this real quick.
Go ahead.
That's crazy because the comic book shit is crazy.
You're good.
I want you to hold that thought for sure.
You're good. Your mic just went back on.
For sure. But I'm gonna do this.
Oh, they cut off my boy's mic.
Yeah. Don't even worry about nothing. You gotta cut this shit up though.
That's dope. You've been in the game, busting your moves, making it happen.
Yeah, man. Since I was a kid, which is kind of crazy because like it's weird because like a lot of people wait so many years for these type of opportunities, but I was blessed to have these opportunities when I was only 19 years old.
And you took it and ran with it.
Yeah, I was working 5 days a week at Power, doing night classes at St. John's and doing all my homework on the weekends. Like I was like, man, I saw the future. Like I saw the vision. I saw what could be ahead of me, and like a lot of people go out partying. I still party too when I was that young, but like a lot of my focus was really like just, let me make sure that I put myself in a position to win, so I can make sure that like whatever my future was, I didn't know it was gonna be on the radar at the time, but that I would be in the right position to have something like on the radar, or be able to be on the radio, which I am now as well too over in New York. So it's just a blessing for real.
All right, back to the comic books.
Yeah, back to the comic books. Let's do it.
Who's the craziest villain?
Who's
the sickest villain in the comic book series?
Who's like my favorite villain?
Yeah, who's your favorite villain?
I would say Taskmaster. I like Taskmaster. I don't like what they did with Taskmaster in the Black Widow movie. Cause like they kind of they gender swapped Taskmaster, which I didn't have a problem with, but they kind of like everything that was kind of like core about Taskmaster, him being witty, him copying other people's abilities, kind of like him just being like that type of villain that's like, okay, he's gonna know what you're doing before you even do it. like they kind of botched that whole thing in Black Widow, and I feel like it sucks when you like have like this villain that you love so much and you love seeing fight your favorite comic book characters, and then like a studio takes it and it's like, nah, we're not gonna do nothing that you like. We're just gonna fuck this whole shit up.
But they do everything with the Joker.
But they do
everything possible with the Joker.
They make Heath Ledger right in The Dark Knight, but I feel like the Marvel stuff, like especially as of lately, just hasn't been hitting the way it used to. So I feel like myself, like kind of shifting away from like my love for that as well.
Damn, you shifted away from it?
A little bit, just a little bit. I'm still into it. Like I feel like there's still hope for like the stuff that Marvel is doing, but I feel like as of lately, it just has not been.
What's the best recent movie? You know what I'm saying?
Oh man, the best recent Marvel movie? What came out recently? I'm trying to think. What was the last Marvel movie I even saw? It wasn't Thor. It wasn't Ant-Man. Black Panther 2 was good.
Miss Marvel, was it?
That one was alright.
Captain Marvel.
Captain Marvel?
Miss Marvel. Oh, Captain Marvel 2. That was alright.
Anything Miss Marvel is disgusting.
Why do you hate anything Miss Marvel?
Miss Marvel, that shit is nasty. They ain't doing that shit right at all.
How? Like how?
They not doing that shit right. It just seemed too sitcom-y.
It is a little sitcom-y.
Yeah.
But I feel like that's like a lot of like what the Disney Plus shows be doing. Like everything just feel like a little too like.
Yeah, that shit is
too
big
much for
Disney
laughs.
Plus, right?
Yeah, it's just like too much for laughs now. Not so much like I miss like serious comic book movies.
Yeah, you gotta be like super dramatic and drama.
Yeah,
Like,
that's why I like the Batman.
Yeah, that's why Batman always do well though.
Yeah.
That's why Batman always do well. And then it's kind of like Spider-Man be up there a little bit, and then it's kind of like
But then they kind of make it too funny.
Yeah, then they make it funny, man. Then
Like
they
I
make
saw
it
a joke
funny.
on Twitter. They're like, I like my Peter Parker sad and depressed, and I was like, yo, like
Yeah, Peter Parker. Yeah, we want that nigga to be sad, bro. Nah, it'd be good though. It'd be good, man. But I'm glad to have you here, man. You
Excited
feel
to
me?
be here, man.
I'm glad that and you know, I'm excited for what you're doing. I love what you're doing.
Thank you,
feel
bro.
me? And it's just like a breath of fresh air for a lot of new artists that can come and
For sure, yeah.
and do something and hang out and you know what I'm saying and show their talent, their ability.
Yeah.
You feel me? Yesterday, what I seen, you feel me? Shout out Minimal too. You feel me?
Yeah, shout out Minimal, man.
Yeah, shout out Minimal doing that though. But bringing artists through, like I got a chance to meet a couple new artists that you had up there.
Oh, fire.
Yeah, man. So I love that. I love that. I love what you're doing, man. Giving
Yeah,
people the chance.
I
for
love
sure.
coming out here to LA. I got like incredible ties with like Rosecrans Vic. And Desi, who runs like the corner store too, and like when I came out here, I'm like, because I know enough artists out here, but it's like when you come to New York, you might not know everybody. You feel me?
Yeah.
So like when I come out here, I always hit them. I'm like, look, who do I got to tap in with out here? You know what I'm saying? Then I got my sis Dev. Oh, she's not in the room, but my sis Dev too. Like I'm like, yo, who do I really have to tap in out here that we got to bring and do on the radar with that we haven't gotten to do yet? And then through that, like they'll send me like a list. I'll have like 50 artists to pick from. And then this time we only did like super limited, like 20 artists. And so we kind of just picked and chose from that list, So we were able to finally got a Blue Bucks freestyle in the tuck. We got a Mozzie freestyle in the tuck, obviously. We did these girls from out here who I really love, Cuzzos, X5, like a group of girls. I love doing girl groups too because I think they're just so special. We did X4. Yesterday was a crazy day when you showed up because we had RJ, we had Big Sad, we had Bravo. It was crazy, bro. But it's like that type of like hecticness and like controlled chaos that makes On the Radar so great. Because like how many spaces do you go that you see all these incredible artists from a certain place all doing a platform at the same time? Like we really at OTR like strive to bring people together, not tear people apart.
Yeah, and that shit is dope, man. It's a dope wave, and like I said, it's a dope curated thing that you know what I'm saying. I really want to know, what was going through your head when you was like, you know what, I'm finna start my own shit. I'm finna get out here and I'm finna do this on my own. You feel me? And step out because it's hard as fuck to get out there and step out on your own and have that courage to to feel like what this is gonna work. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean like it was crazy because like when I started On the Radar, I was really like still full time running social media accounts for like the iHeart radio station in New York, so like Power. And I had this full-time job, but then after my job was over, kind of like what I told you with school, like I would do On the Radar at night. So like I would do like one interview a week, and then that eventually grew, and then the pandemic came and I was doing all these Zoom interviews. But like you never really know if it's gonna work for real.
Yeah.
You just kind of like, I had the fallback plan, which was like my 9-to-5 job, but like for real, like I didn't really thoroughly love doing that the way I love doing On the Radar. Like On the Radar was always like my passion. So it was weird, like, and I'm sure you've been there even with Back on Fig and everything that you've like accomplished and you guys have accomplished as like a collective. It's like you take these risks, but you never know if these risks are really gonna pan out. Like you're doing this live stream joint, but you don't really know if this is gonna pan out at first. Like you don't know if people are gonna gravitate towards you, if people are gonna understand what you're doing, or if people are even gonna fuck with what you're doing for real. And I think like as time goes on, like, you know, I think that everybody has like a door that pops up in front of them at some point in their life, but it's like up to you to like realize and recognize when that door is right there for you and if you're gonna step through it. Because a lot of people, and it sounds corny and it's been said a lot of times, but a lot of people give up too early right before that moment really happened. And I was like, damn, if I had like the pandemic came and I was just like, fuck it, I'm just going to do my 9 to 5 and just kind of be complacent with the life that I had and what I was doing, then I wouldn't have thought to just do mad Zoom interviews and just try to build as many connections with folks like over the pandemic, not even just from like New York, but I was doing interviews with folks on the West Coast and Africa, and I was doing Spanish interviews. I didn't even know how to speak Spanish. Like I was just like, you know what I'm saying? Like I really was just doing anything and everything to just build a network of people. So when outside opened back up, I had these resources to do something. I didn't know it was going to turn into what On the Radar is now at the time, but you know, again, it kind of goes back to like you really just got to keep pushing until it happens, you know? And like I said, I think everybody has that opportunity that comes for them, but you have to like decide if you're going to walk through that door, and you just got to know that this is like your purpose. Because if there's uncertainty, it's not going to happen for you. You have to be 100% certain that this is the life I'm going to live and this is what I want to do.
Man, how are you Puerto Rican in New York and you don't know how to speak Spanish?
You don't really know New York Puerto Ricans like that then. There's mad
Hold on.
I need another. Hold on, my boy
Every
Jay.
Puerto
hold
Rican
on.
that come out here, that motherfucker crazy.
Hold
What's
on.
his mother? Shout out my nigga Mills, or is he Dominican?
Dominican.
Oh, he Dominican. Okay,
Alright,
he Dominican.
so
I'm gonna
the
take
rest
that
of my-
back. I'm gonna take
he
that
not
back.
from New York. He a Dominican from NOLA. Shout out my young boy JC. But JV right here. So he from New York, right?
Yeah.
JV. Do most Puerto Ricans you know in New York speak Spanish? Yeah. See.
Nah. No,
It's
that's
like-
crazy.
We call New Yorkers. Like Angie don't speak Spanish. Like Angie don't speak Spanish either. It's not like we never like wanted to learn. Like a lot of us, like they tried talking to us in Spanish as a kid. Like my abuela tried to talk to me, and my mom tried to talk to me, but I was just always talking English. You know what I'm saying?
So you said when the pandemic came, that's when it all started. So do you think if the pandemic wouldn't have came, you would have still been where you at right now today, or you think you probably have been somewhere else?
I don't know. That's a great question. I mean, I really don't know, because I felt like I always had the drive. Like what I did in the pandemic wasn't so different from what I was doing before the pandemic. It's just the pandemic gave me more time to sit and think about what I was doing.
Right.
Like
right.
when I was doing it before the pandemic, there was a lot more obstacles. Like, oh, where am I going to record this? Which I'm sure we've all gone through. Like, where are we
Yeah.
going to record this podcast, this interview? Especially in the building that I was in, I would keep shifting rooms. I didn't have my own equipment. But there's obviously the pandemic allowed me to do everything on Zoom. So it's just like, let me just buy a mic, buy a ring light. I got this little wall that I could put up behind me, and I'm gonna just do these interviews. So it kind of became really simple. But then, you know, the uncertainty as everything opened back upside and like summer 2021 came about, that's when we were like, okay, like I could actually do this. My friend opened up a pod studio. We started recording there. I met my producer Rob, and we started doing these freestyles, mostly with like these young drill artists from New York. And that's how the shit really just went. You know what I'm saying?